Hey guys, Ratchet Reviews here again with another Transformers video review. This time I am taking a look at the Transformers Robots in Disguise Megatron figure. As you can see here, we're going to be starting off in robot mode due to the fact that this figure has quite a few transformations in it, and I feel like the best way to start this video would be his robot mode. So we're going to start with this first then. And as always, going to go ahead and get the camera focused onto his head sculpt real quick. Oop, there it goes. As you see, a very, very evil looking head sculpt here for this Megatron. We have some bat wings kind of coming off the side in chrome purple. His eyes are in chrome red, as well as he's got this clear red crest on top of his head, and then the gold claws on the side, and then this greenish white kind of paint for his face. And we also do have some other really cool details going on here. We do have some... Oop, we got that out of the light, but we do have his spark crystal in there for the Predacon. This is the only new mold Predacon in the entire line was Megatron. All the other bad guys were actually previous repaints or remolds of previous figures from Generation 1, Generation 2, and the Beast Wars and Machine Wars toys. So yeah, so this is the only new mold figure that came out in 2001 in terms of the bad guys. But I do like the Predacon Spark Crystal going on here. From behind, he does have the tail for his beast mode, as well as just some other stuff that it can do. I do have him holding on to his weapon right now. It is a twin-bladed sword, but it can actually detach and separate into two single swords and look like that. And also for articulation, we do have the head is on a swivel, so it could rotate 360 degrees. We have ratcheting shoulders for 360 degree rotation, as well as 90 degrees out. We do have a cut above the elbow for bicep rotation. We do have ratcheting elbows that allow for almost 90 degree 90 degree bend, and a swivel in the wrist. Nothing in the waist due to the transformations. We do have hips, can bend out that far, as well as ratchet joint, really tight, bend forward about that far, and about back that far. And then we do have a thigh swivel and a knee joint that goes that far, and then ball jointed ankle. And due to transformation, the front and back of his feet can open and close, so you can position that however you want to make sure that he stands, that he can stand and hold his pose. So this figure is extremely poseable, given the fact that he has six different modes to deal with in it, as well as the amazing detail with all the purples, the reds, the blacks, the gold. And yeah, so this figure is just, it has a lot going for him, especially for the price point, because he was a Mega Class Transformer back then, which I believe was like the or no, I guess he was an Ultra class figure, my bad. So he was at the $30 price point. The only two Ultra class figures were him and Galvatron later, so yeah, he was $30, whereas Optimus Prime was $40. So, and he stands pretty much about the size of what a Ultra class figure or Voyager class figure from Cybertron was too. So he does do pretty good for his size class here. And I did also want to point out, I forgot to mention, with the weapons being the two-bladed sword, they can combine together, look like that, or also just only be one blade, but the blade itself is a pressure fire missile, which if you push the little red bulb on the hilt, it does launch the sword tip like a missile. So I'm going to set these off for now. Get him stood back up. And now Megatron was a little bit weird for me on this one to get some other figures for a size comparison. I can go ahead and show off with the I wanted to do the standard robot for Optimus Prime for this comparison so you could see, because he is not super giant. He's, like I said, he's about old Voyager class size, like pretty much what a modern day leader class would be, like the Galvatron or the Beast Megatron from Kingdom. Which actually I should use that as a good reference too, now I think about it. So so yeah, there he is with his adversary of the TV show, the Robots in Disguise, Optimus Prime. And also alongside the standard size class, or the size comparison that I do for my video reviews, being the Siege Optimus. So as you can see how he compares next to a Voyager. So these guys were actually sold at the same price point, basically $30 in 2020 or 2019 versus $20 in 2001, or $30 in 2001. And as you can see, quite difference in size. And then we're going to go ahead and look at some other figures here. So like I was saying, it's kind of hard to pick figures to do for size comparison for Megatron. I did want to do some other Megatron figures, but I realized I didn't have much, and the Cybertron Megatron would have just been it would have been an unfair comparison, because that figure is huge compared to this one. But there we have next to the Siege Voyager class Megatron. Maybe if I can get him to stand straight. And also go ahead and get the Kingdom Megatron in here. As you can see, this was, I was saying, he's about the size of what a modern day leader class would be. So that's Kingdom Megatron and Robots in Disguise Megatron. I'm going to also go ahead and show him off with another figure around the same time frame. Was the Beast Wars Megatron. which was an Ultra class figure in 1990, or in the when Beast Wars first came out. So 1997, I think, was when Beast Wars Megatron came out. And as you can see, they are pretty much the same size. This one does have just a little bit more bulk and a little bit simpler to it. Then we're also going to look at Studio Series Megatron. Studio Series 54 Megatron, to be precise, so the first movie version. And then the Prime Voyager Megatron. So, yeah, compared to some other Megatrons, this one definitely has a little bit more of a wow factor to him when it comes to presence, and like, he's not as big and as imposing as some other figures have been, but just the fact that he's got a lot of detail going on and a lot of different colors, a lot of vibrant colors going on. He does show off next to some of the other figures pretty well. So from here now, we'll go ahead and start with some of his transformations, and we'll go ahead and first transform him into Bat mode. So first, to start off for Bat mode, what we're going to do here is we're going to take the back, or the tail piece here on the back, rotate that up, well, unpeg it and rotate it up, and then rotate it around and fold it back like that. And then take his arms, and take these sections of his arms, and you're going to push the fist in, and while doing so is going to take this piece and slide it and rotate it down, and then lock it into place, and then fold the foot down. And do the same on this side. Maybe here. There it goes. Fold down. I think in the animation model, these actually stay up for Bat mode, but the instructions and stock photography tell you to fold the shoulder pads down. And then come to the feet, close them all the way up. And then rotate them to the side so the claw piece is pointing outward. And then rotate the leg all the way back, and then rotate the knee all the way back so his legs will lay flush against his back. Then just get everything tidied up. And then lastly, we're going to come here, open up the chest panel, and come underneath his head, and there is a little piece underneath his head that is really hard for me to get my hands out, or get out with my hands, but that folds over and covers up his mouth, forming a bat mouth. And then you just fold the wings out and then open the claws up on the wings, and there he is in bat form. Go ahead and take a look at his face now. Basically, it's the same robot mode head as before. There's nothing changed to it. It's just now, instead of his regular mouth, he has this snout with fangs coming out. Not necessarily like a bat, it's more like a wolf, but It's kind of more of a gargoyle form, but to be honest, but it's classified as a bat, so there's that. There's not really any new articulation in this mode. The wings can flap, which the wings can flap in the robot mode as well. And then also, for this mode, what you're supposed to do for the weapon storage or weapon usage is that there's 2 pegs on the wings that these will peg onto. So like that. And unfortunately, mine has the inability to stand. In this mode, the tail is too loose to secure his weight, and his legs just kind of buckle under his weight too. So mine doesn't stand. It might have stood about 20 years ago when I first got the figure, but it doesn't stand now. But that's kind of what he just looks like, sitting there like that. So it's one of the more prominent alternate modes that's featured in the show, but not really a fun one to transform into. So, but we're gonna go, it's how the instructions start off the transformation, so that's where we started off on this. So anyways, why don't we go ahead and transform him to his next mode, which is the 2-headed dragon mode. So first what we're going to do is we're going to open up the chest panel back up, fold the snout in, fold the wings on the side of his head in, and then push his head down into his chest and close it back up, and then take the tail section here, not knock over my light, but take the tail section here, and that's going to swing around, cover up his head, and actually lock into place. Take the legs and fold them down, rotate them here at the bicep, or his robot mode bicep, and then fold at the knee. And take these little arms that are on the side of on Megatron's waist and fold them around so they can be extended out, because they are on a double ball joint system. So once you fold out here, there's one ball joint and then there's another ball joint. So then you fold it out, but then get it so the cut of the ball joint now would be facing forward, so that way it's able to extend all the way out like that. Then rotate the legs forward and rotate them around. And remove the weapons here. And then rotate the heads down, and then flip these panels that are over the faces up to reveal the dragon heads completely. And lastly, take this wing section here and then rotate it on this axis, and we'll just get it all rotated up so where this peg here is pegging into this post here, like so. And then it's just a matter of positioning the wings and then the necks, which just bending at a couple of the joints here. And there we have Megatron in his twin dragon mode, which also for weapon storage. And this time for this mode, the instructions tell you to place these weapons from this peg onto that post right there, and there, like that. So there we have a Megatron like fully on display in his dragon mode here. And I realized I forgot to put Megatron in his bat mode next to another figure for comparison, but I'm gonna go ahead and do this instead. This comparison instead. So I have Megatron in twin dragon mode here, and then Beast Megatron, the original Beast Wars version, in his dinosaur mode. So that way you can see two different versions of a Predacon leader in their beast mode here. As you can see, this thing's got more like Transmetal 2 design and engineering to it. And my Transmetal 2 Megatron is actually not in a good place to be shown on camera, so we're not going to go ahead and get him for the display. But I did just want to show that off real quick on how he looks compared to another beast, but also for robot mode, or for comparison with another figure from more recent times, there is Beast Megatron from Kingdom, as well as Siege Megatron, who, no matter what I want to do for posing, he always wants to lean back. So there we go. So yeah, as you can see, takes up a lot of shelf space in this form, but still isn't that much taller than anything else. So yeah, again, this mode, it's a dragon mode. It does look really cool. This is like his primary beast mode that he uses in the show. It does give him quite a bit of extra attack power and everything. No new articulation really to speak of, except for he does have these arms, little dinosaur arms that stick out of the center of the torso that are on two sets of ball joints for the shoulder and the elbow, but they can't really do anything. And the head, of course, can open up its mouth, but that's about it. So anyways, on to the next transformation. We're going to go into jet form. So we're going to start by folding the arms back in. Come on. Folding the arms all the way into the to the torso again. And then fold the close up the faces on the dragons, and then rotate them up like that. Fold the wings so it's sitting flat, and we're gonna move the close them up just for now, just so it's easier for my review station. And we're also going to close up those claws for the transformation here. And there's actually two joints in the knee joint here, two ratcheting joints. So we have one right here and one right here. We're going to utilize both of them after we rotate the heads around, so we can utilize both of them to get them folded up over this wing pack. So by doing that, and I usually rotate one click up for the thigh, and then get that so it's making a 90-degree bend with the body. So it looks like that from behind. And then also come here and turn the tail tip around and then plug that back into place, forming the nose cone of the jet. And then open up the chest plate. And we're going to take these black sections here on the body, fold them all the way down and around. While we have this opened up, fold out landing gear and peg that back in and get all of that pegged into place so it doesn't move around. And then we're going to rotate the arms this way. Bring the arms forward or back a couple clicks and then rotate it there. Then rotate the feet of the dragon down that way and then collapse these sections back in here. And then just do the same on this side. There we go. Now just trying to get both sides to be symmetrical. And then lastly, take the weapon pieces and plug them in on either side of the nose cone, like so. Then go back to straightening out the wings. And here we have him in his jet mode, which is a really nice, imposing jet. I like the whole backward swept wings. I like the way the missile launchers now at this point are stored on either side of the cockpit. I like the use of mass in this transformation as well. As inaccurate of a jet mode as this is, considering it doesn't actually base itself on any jet, it's just a beast former having a jet mode. There's no underkibble. Everything stores up nicely. There's a little bit of junk going on back here, but that is actually used as thrusters in the anime, so that gets a pass. This makes it like some giant backward wing swept version of an A-10 Thunderbolt. So and another jet mode that I wanted to compare it to is the Studio Series movie Optimus, or not Optimus. I'm so used to reviewing Optimuses now. Megatron. So we have. I can't get both of these in my review set without clashing into the walls. But there they are side by side. And I always liked, this is why I always liked Jet Megatron from the movies, is because he shares basically the same silhouette as, or the same like outline as RID Megatron jet mode. So there's one, that's the jet mode comparison I wanted to do. Also gives me an excuse to transform that into jet mode, which gets a little bit finicky, and I'm glad I got to do that off camera. But then also go ahead and we're going to go ahead and do the Siege Megatron here this time. And as you can see, he's lower on the ground, but if we take a look at how he uses his mass otherwise, he condenses up pretty well to become the jet mode. So that's really cool to see. So yeah, this actually is one of my favorite modes of this figure, and it makes it better if the copy that you have, the ratchet joints are at least tight enough in his shoulders to support the weight. Otherwise he does kind of sag a little bit. But also the wheels all roll for his landing gear, because these act as wheels here, and then there's a little wheel here for the landing gear. So that's a nice little touch. I do really like how they got that to work. And now we get to transform it into, I believe the instructions call this transport mode, but it is essentially a drag racer. So we're going to go ahead and remove the weapons, and then open up the chest panel, and fold the landing gear back in, and then close it back up. And then this time we're going to completely straighten out the legs. Which I just realized that was not even on camera. So yeah, so it's going to look like this at this point. Let's get the legs straightened out. Like so. And now we're going to take the wing section here, and we're going to unpeg it from this peg, and now we're going to peg this piece into this hole. So get that folded around like so. There we are. And then fold the wings in, and then we're going to rotate at this piece, fold that all the way up, and trying to do this with the wings in the way is a little bit complicated, but at this point here we're going to take the arms, and now we got to rotate them around, and then get the arms, them folded around so they're in this position now. Like so. And then fold or rotate the dragon heads all the way around again. And now this time we're going to rotate the legs 90 degrees. This thing is getting really difficult to keep on camera, I'm noticing. So yeah, rotate the legs 90 degrees, and then bend the knee joints so they kind of do this 90-degree kind of bend here. And that'll actually, this doesn't get featured in the instructions, or it does get featured in the instructions at least, but you're now supposed to peg this post on the arm into this hole on the leg. And by doing that, secures all of this junk and keeps it from moving around. And mileage may vary on how tight these joints can be, especially if you're like me and reviewing this 20 years past when it came out. There we go. And then now the instructions tell you for the weapon storage in this mode, it belongs on these pegs that are on the, what is essentially the inside of the robot mode's legs. So those go there and there. And move the camera down a little bit too far. Now we're in Megatron in his Dragster mode. A really cool mode. I do like this one a lot. It's kind of bending these wings down a little bit does allow for these wheels to catch on the ground and roll, but it just, I guess there's not enough traction for it to really go on my surface that I'm doing for my review station, so we'll just leave it as that. But there he is in its Dragster mode. Another really cool one, but I'm gonna be honest, I had to modify my figure a little bit just to be able to get into this mode. There was some factory quality control errors that were a little bit of an issue. To start, this peg had a little bit of excess molding on it that I had to get sanded off and chipped off, as well as I had to sand this hole to make it a little bit bigger in order for that piece to be able to actually peg in. Also, now I don't know if this was a factory error or just me being stupid, but there was also a if you can see right in here, there's the remains of where there was some molding on this joint that was kind of working as a ratchet joint to lock it in place, but the way it was so tight I couldn't get it past this position. So I sanded that all down and trimmed up all the plastic on it to make it so I could at least bend it to be more of a 90-degree bend. Which also the arms and legs and everything clash in the way. But there it is. It's another fun alt mode. Not much to it different than Jet mode. It's pretty much Jet just turned upside down and condensed a little bit more. There it is with the Siege Megatron. So not really that much to speak of in this mode. But just another one of the cool modes that this one can do. Now, on to his last mode, which is going to be the Giga Claw mode. So first thing we're going to do is go ahead and I'm going to fold the wings down just to make it a little bit easier for everything else, since the wings like to get in the way. But then we're going to unpeg the arms from the legs, straighten the legs back up, and rotate them forward. Like so. Then we're also going to rotate these pieces around and straighten the arms out. There we go. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the backpack section, this wing section here, and we're going to fold it back down. And we're going to fold it so everything collapses here. And nothing really pegs in, it just all sits tightly with how it's supposed to connect in robot mode. And we take the tail section here, and the ball joint piece that it's on, we're going to rotate it so it's all the way forward, or all the way up like that, and then slide it all the way to the side. And then next, we're going to take this section here and rotate it around, and then unpeg the end. And that is going to form the thumb of the Giga Claw. And then now it's just a matter of personal preference on how you want the fingers to go, I guess. And then also, last step is to take the arms and separate them out. And then take this piece here on the waist of robot mode and unpeg it, which will then, oop, as long as you don't have anything else get in the way, it'll unlock the mechanism that will allow you to use this piece and close, or kind of clamp the claw arm down. Like so. And of course, the storage for the weapons in this mode just becomes these little sections here on the side of the body again. So there we have him in Giga Claw mode. Yeah, it's a flying claw. This is quite possibly as weird as an alt mode can get. I honestly cannot think of any other Transformer that can transform into something this abstract. It's a flying hand. I just cannot express that enough. It's a giant flying hand. That can grab with a gear function. So that's pretty cool that it does get to do that. Actually, the first ever mode that we see Megatron in the cartoon is the Giga Claw. So there he is next with Siege Megatron again. And there you can see the Giga Claw mode. And now finally to transform him back into robot mode, just so I could have him sit down or sit and finish this video off and without having him look like a dead fish on the display stand basically. So we're going to take the arms, or take the chest plate, fold the arms back up and straighten them out. Come on. Like so. And fold the foot up. And again. And straighten the legs out, which was just folding the knees down. And then opening the dragon mouths to form feet. Then coming to the backpack here, clipping that into place, and then rotating that back around, and then sliding that off so it's more centered. And then, lastly, pulling up the head, folding the ears out, and then closing the chest plate back up. And there you have it. Now, This figure is actually a really good figure. I do like it a lot. There's just a lot going on with this, a lot of fun, a lot of neat, cool new things that it does that not very many other Transformers figures then or since have quite done. And if you're noticing, yes, I am only going through the official 6 modes that this Megatron can do. When I get to Galvatron, I will display the other 4 modes that were featured with that toy's instructions. So until I get Galvatron, we're not going to look at the other 4 modes until then. This figure can do it since this is essentially just a recolor of, or Galvatron's just a recolor of the Megatron figure. In fact, the weird somersaulting that was done between Hasbro and Takara's engineering was that the Japanese figure for Gigatron was designed first and then repainted into Devil Gigatron with some new molding. And then when we acquired the line for Robots in Disguise, what happened was that we took the Galvatron mold and recolored it back into the Gigatron colors, which adds these pegs here, which helps for stability in some of the modes, and it's especially helpful with one of the with the elephant mode that Devil Gigatron can do. But that was not present in the original Gigatron figure, so the elephant mode that Galvatron has allows for the Hasbro release of Megatron to be better than the Japanese release of Gigatron, at least in my opinion. Now, whether or not I feel like this is a figure to pick up is definitely going to be a mixed bag. This figure is not for everyone. The color scheme is... I think the color scheme itself is amazing, but I can see that it would be a big contention point for a lot of people. It also does feel like some of the modes get a little lazy compared to others. Especially considering the fact that he's a Predacon, so primary focus should be on the beast modes, but I feel like the beast modes are some of the weakest of the modes in this figure. My favorite transformation is the jet mode, honestly. But the most used one for him in the show for the transformation is the twin-headed dragon, which makes a lot of sense if you're looking at Megatrons from the Beast era. We have regular Beast Megatron that turns into a Tyrannosaurus, and then a techno-organic Tyrannosaurus from his Transmetal form, and then a dragon for his Transmetal 2 form. So I feel like this would be the next evolutionary step if that was the same Galvatron, or same Megatron, but instead they just kind of... Robots in Disguise is a soft reboot, at least in the Hasbro market. So this is an entirely new take on the Megatron character. But I'm not going to go into too much detail because I'll just be rambling for quite a bit on that aspect. But whether or not I feel like this is a must-buy, it's a little bit of a mixed bag. Definitely not for everyone. The alt modes do kind of get a little but the transformations, at least transforming it through all 6 modes in that cycle, it is fun. Now, you can get to any one of the alt modes from straight from robot mode. It's not, this is the absolute final way you have to do it. It's just the easiest progression from separate modes is going as the order that I showed them in this video review. And that being said, it is fun. But I don't feel like it is for everyone. If you're a definite Megatron collector, or you collect the Robots in Disguise line, I would highly, highly recommend picking either version up, either the Gigatron version from Japan or the Hasbro Megatron version. Definite pickups. I cannot say whether or not Galvatron's any better. Essentially just being a repaint, but I have not seen the repaint in hand, so I don't know how the color scheme works better except for what I've seen on pictures. But I do prefer this color scheme over Galvatron's a little bit more. But that being said, focusing on Megatron, I do recommend picking him up if he's in your wheel of figures. If you're a Robots in Disguise collector like I am, or you want to collect Megatrons, he's definitely a good pickup. If you want something that's fun to mess around with, that's where the mileage will vary on this figure, due to the fact that even when I first got him, I remember some joints being tighter than others and some not being able to hold poses all too well. He is fantastic to pose, especially in his robot mode, but whether or not he can hold any of the poses on his own, definitely going to be, I feel like, a make or break for some people, and that definitely has to play in the overall quality of the figure itself and the quality of the amount of time the figure has been released. Like, mine's 20 years old. Mine was first given to me as it was a new toy. So it's not, there's a lot more parts out of mine that are loose now than there were back then. But looseness on a figure, especially one of 20 years ago, is definitely going to vary. And all I could say is, if you're going to find this guy used, just kind of make sure that the joints are in good condition and make sure that everything's intact. One of the big things that's missing on a lot of Megatrons is the weapons, but also the covers to the feet, which do play a lot into the design. Because without these, you just have bare dragon, the tops of dragon heads as his feet. These hide away the dragon head and also provide like a horn design for the dragon head and dragon mode. So that's one thing to be very careful of. And also the plastic quality of some of those parts. Like on mine, I don't know how well this is going to tell on camera, but this piece did just degrade and fall apart and kind of snap off in like gold plastic syndrome style. But I was able to actually fix it using some super glue and some purple Sharpie to get the color match correctly. But I did actually get that fixed. So also I just realized that this toy is completely screwing up my white balance on my camera, which is great. I personally do enjoy this figure a lot. Between the playability and the just overall presence of this figure, I do like it. And I can see why some others wouldn't. So if you do think you want to pick this figure up, if you're sitting on the fence on whether or not you want it, I would definitely say go ahead and get it. But it's definitely not a must buy for everyone. And I can understand that. So that's about all I have to say for this figure. If you guys like this video review, please let me know. Thank you again for tuning in. This has been Ratchet Reviews. I hope you guys like this video review, and I will see you next time. Bye.